So today, one of the things I did was I talked about those inside 60s that were just beautiful today, right? And so with the SPY, and so for anybody's new and old alike, there's a reason I do this. That means it's go time, all right? When you hear that, it's go time. So if you're doing other things during the day and you just have me on in the background and you have some trades on, when you hear that, you want to know about that, right? So what we did have is a SPY go inside 60, take off up here, but we were aware we were still an inside day. But that was a real nice move because we had the SPY and the diamonds. The diamonds do that, right, at the same time, small cappers, right? And if you're trading this stuff too, you want to be aware of, you want to have a futures account instead of trading SPY all the time. Taxes are lower on futures than they are on stocks, as well as you want to try and get on the options as well because you can get more bang for the buck. But the other more bang for the buck was SVXY. And so I can't stress this enough. Not only when I ring that is it important, but also the bottom of the hour. The flip can be very, very important, right? And so when we know we're coming into a new 60 and potentially those 60s up, which broke right away, SVXY, when you're looking at multiple time frames, was perfect, inside 5. And I know a lot of us got this, but for those who didn't or weren't here, right here, look at that, inside 5 and just gone, all right? That was great. And so being aware that we were inside day on the SPY, also ninja stuff inside 15 down. So not only did you get that huge break to the upside, but you can take that 15 down and you can stop it off the highs. And then hammer, boom, you can go right back and get long. Then outside bar, that's a 3-2, boom, gone again. And that happened with the diamonds doing this. The diamonds were perfect. The inside 60 up, the inside 60 down. Perfect. And so at the end of the day, some of the ways you can play this too is we had those 60 downers again, but they came back up on them, right? But QQQ, inside 60 down, SPY, 60 down. So if you take that and you know we're running out of time, all you can do is go down to the fiver. And as long as it keeps puking, you can stay in. As soon as it makes a higher high, you cover. So you still get that inside 60 break puke. And then right here, out. QQQ hammer, out. Right? Because we knew we had all these big earnings coming out and stuff like that. So one of the perfect examples, and if you got questions, start typing them in, is of understanding the importance of the flip would be Labu. So Labu does this. Inside 60, up. And so at this point, you'd be thinking, okay, maybe I caught the bottom. This is good. No problem at all. Boom. Machines turn off or they turn on the other way. As soon as that new flip occurred, it didn't tick any higher. That was it. It was the high of the hour. And boom, straight back down. You need to realize the importance of the time because automated trading programs are going to click on at these times, right? They're either going to continue or they're not. Okay. Rob, because today was pretty much red all over, would this be a day that you would want to focus on shorts, gap down continuation, and gap up reversals? What do you mean pretty much red all over? I wouldn't say that it was red all over, but it was an inside day for the SPY. All right. And so, Frank, one of the things, another thing we want to talk about tonight was definitely right. But there was things that were moving to the upside, Yelp, and all that kind of stuff. So we can focus on whatever we want. Also, you can focus like when the diamonds were doing this, chopping around and coming down and going like this. Guess who's in the Dow and didn't do that? Exxon. Exxon. You also have to remember SPY still inside weak, right? And the gap up reversal, ICPT, definitely. So on a day like today, Frank, you'd be looking for any type of reversal basically because we're still an inside day. So things that we're attempting to go in one direction, yes, we're not very successful outside of a few things that we would recognize. And so that's why today was an important day for monitoring that flip. Right? We understood that there can be some vast change every time that new 60 shows up. Make sense? Good, good. Because another question of Brian's here is new about focusing on the research on how to do it, how to break it down. First of all, if you haven't done it, anybody who's new, send me an email. I want to know what's going on in your career and how it goes. Here's my email. Because it helps me understand where you're coming from and customize this for you, right? Because we work as a team, right? You and me and you and the community, right? Are separate teams, or one big team, if you will. But once I understand who people are and what they're used to, or what they're watching, or their account size and all that kind of stuff, you will hear me directly call to certain people all the time, right? Because I know them I know them better than they know themselves, right? Because not everybody's going to sit here and bang out Amazon and all that kind of stuff, right? You want more Amazon, Netflix, right? We're working on it. It happens all the time. Well, thank you, Brenda. I really appreciate that. So do that, if you have a chance, because basically, since we all think the same way, right? The strategy is so cut and dry that we don't have to sit there and go, is this or that, is this or that? We know, right? And then you're just checking with me. Is there anything external that you don't know about, right? It's like, do you only have this much time to remind you that, or this is going to be affected by something that's not on that chart? That's what I'm going to help you with, all right? Because getting the research down to something that's workable, and obviously, like we talk about the VIX products, certainly VXX, SVXY, all the time. You can see us, and as I said today, CNBC, will they ever talk about it? Never talk about SVXY. But oh, how they'll talk about the SPY and what they think about the market. And as we saw last year, all right, here we go. Oh, the market had an incredible run. Did it? Sexy went 49.25 to 140, and you're telling me about how much the S&P was up? Gee, thanks. It's up 29%. I was like, is it? The real measures, exactly. The things that really move. Tuesday night's video called BBY and NTRI RevStrat days. Can you go over those? Because I thought RevStrats had to finish inside the one bar. They don't. They just have to be actionable signal counters inside bar. So we prefer it back in there, but a hammer is an actionable signal that counters an inside bar. So any actionable signal that counters an inside bar would have been RevStrat. It did not work. It went to the downside, but had it taken that out inside here. And for the convenience, and what's really great now is if you get a hold of the scenarios, it makes things very simple, because all this is going to be is a 1-2-2 reversal with hammer. All right? And I will be in the process of making a video series to add onto the course for everybody of the scenarios. I know the greatest story was lots of fun, but I want to make sure that everybody understands what they all look like, because there's the 2-2-2 reverse, the 2-2-2 reversal, the 2-2-2 continuation, all that kind of stuff. Because once you get that, we can nail everything. We can nail everything, because before, something like Nectar, we wouldn't have gotten this outside of the inside day up, but that outside 30, Judy was on this here, right? Right here. We wouldn't have gotten that before. Now we can. That's a 3-2. All right? And Best Buy goes in force as soon as it breaks the hammer. If it would have broken here, this is where it goes in force, right above this, right? Because that's the first level of their defense on the short side. We're going to use these guys to trigger them and them, right? Oh, yeah, Houston. He just got here, so everybody else bear with him. You bet there was. You bet there was. It is awesome. So SPY goes inside 60 to the upside here, right? SPY goes inside 60 to the upside. At the same time, so do the small cappers and the diamonds, right? And they took off right on the flip. They just opened and just started going, right? And at that time, SVXY did this, and everybody said hallelujah. Inside fiver, right on the flip. Boom, 130, 119.70. Screamed up to 125, $5+ and then went inside 15 and puked. It was perfect, right? Then there was the outside 15 that correlated with the inside down 60 diamonds, right? So yes, there was, and yes, we did. Oh yeah. The scenarios are in the greatest story ever sold on my YouTube. So my YouTube is Smiths in the Black, all one word. The greatest story ever sold. 1,200 views in 1 month. That's pretty good for me. And not a one. This is what I really like about that. There's usually some jokers that give me dislikes because they're holding on to their falsehoods. Not one. I was like, really? I just ripped apart technical analysis and no one's going to argue with me? I'm like, guess we did a pretty good job. Thank you very much. It was a lot of work for 36 minutes, but I certainly enjoyed it. Because it really sets it up cut and dry. Because all it does is further quantify what we already knew. And the reason that it takes us a little further than we did before was that now we can use the triangles as actionable signals. Right? And that is big. That's a big thing, and I have to give credit to my friend Steve Helmer that was with me for a while, and he used to always debate that, and so I got to give him credit. He was right. I just couldn't figure it out exactly for a while. We prefer the short side, right? Just learning the triangles, right? It's like once you understand that, it's like, do you see anybody on CNBC or ever talk about this stuff? These guys know nothing. They know nothing about how price action works. But Houston, you can. I would just prefer. We prefer, obviously we prefer the one side, but because SVXY moves around so much, once you have this type of volatility, you just have to be real aware of the flip and any change in continuity. But because if this thing's moving $5 or $6 a day, oh yeah, you bet you can. Sure. You just got to be aware of what you're up against. Because the thing about the VIX products, if you make a mistake on the wrong side and you hang around too long, yeah, you get crushed. Well, I was just waiting for it to come back. Were ya? But yeah, and one of the other things that I do that helps during the day, Houston, man, is that I'm putting all these parts together for you, right? Because one of the things I've always been adamant about is one of the, besides people trying to trade lies, is that when you try and trade by yourself, right, that you're doing the analysis and the execution at the same time. When you have somebody with 16 screens that we totally agree on what we're doing, right? I can watch it, right? You just hit the keys, right? Because you know what to do. Yeah, Brenda, I sure do. Triangles are actionable signals. We can take them. And we can define them by the outside bar scenario 3. But it's got to stay out. And so one of the good things is like when you go through the course, there's certain inside bars where you can give it a little more room, right, per how much evidence we have that it's going to work, And things like rev strats and 3-2s, they got to go right away. They should. There's no reason they're not going to go right away, right? And that's a good thing, because when people come to me at first, one of the hardest parts is getting stopped out and trying to get back in. Don't worry about getting stopped out. That's not a problem, because what you're seeing is the ones that go, they really go, right? I'm putting you in a very powerful situation, potentially. You said the triangle's actually, and yes, stop's got to be real tight. So like when Nectar broke that, it's got to just go. And the good thing is, if you get stopped out and it goes back through, so in here, let's say that on the 30 outside, and you buy it right here and it comes back down, you get stopped out. Yeah, as soon as it goes back through, get back in, right? That's just some punk triangling you out on the one or some BS. Get back in. Get right back in. So hotkeys are important to have, right? Buy. You have a hotkey with a buy. Take the offer. Stop below 1 cent below the bid of where I just bought it. Hotkey, bam. And so that way, if it stops you out and goes back on, you just hit that key again. Right? Stop is 1 cent, man. This thing should just go, because what it's doing is it's triangle breakout, right? Because here's why that would work, right? Yeah, it's like, here's why that would work. Here's why we can expect it. Not just because you see an outside bar, but here's what happened. All right, this is very important, and what most technicians have no idea and never talk about. What really happened in here, right? They tried to take this thing down here, stop some of the long guys out, right? And anybody who got short up in here, they're thinking this thing's going to roll over and die. They're screwed, and it comes back up on them, right? Now, any of these guys who got stopped out, who really want to be back in, they got to get back in. They're all scrambling right here. Triangle day out, boom. Yeah, sexy was a beat. On the monthly, Hasbro. Now, this is important to remember. Once you go back, right? Once there's a scenario 1 inside bar, whenever another bar closes out, right? They do revert to a 1. So it's both right. It's both. So just like when we see an inside bar and I say go look at the guts of it, what does that look like on the inside of that thing? Same deal here. So this is the 3-1-3, right? But it's also a 3-1. Right? Because these two revert to 1. So once you have a mother bar and a 1 scenario, until it gets out of there, these do revert to a 1. So the question here is the importance of the 1. And when I say the guts, had this, let's say this went 2 and only took out one side, but didn't take that out, right? Then it sets up the potential 2-2-2 to take out the original one. In this part, this is a 3, which makes it actionable signal triangle. Right? So you're both right. They're both. It's really actually both. But the guts of it is inside outside. Right? Because another thing I will tell you is usually when you have to squint or look at something that's tight and try and figure out what it's doing nothing. it's doing nothing. Because you've seen the things that are doing things, like that just jump out to you. Amazon, inside month and up, right? And so what you saw here, if you go to the monthly, outside month, there's your 3-2 reversal. Puke. 2, hammer, doesn't confirm, 2. Outside bar, 3, take them outside. Doji, everyone's a loser. Right? So these guys are both screwed, which gives you the inside. And then they're going to try it again. Failed again. Right? Now it gets interesting. And trippy. Let me tie up these charts together so I can see them at the same time. So trip, monthly. Okay, it's all inside of this thing. Right? And its potential Rev Strat, because you got shooter counters inside bar. So it'd be Rev Strat down below 3409. All right. And you'd still have to get outside of this mother bar, otherwise you could pop back up and goes hammer counter shooter and go right back up. Tee-hee. The old 1-2-2-2. And the Twitter. So Twitter trying to go triangle expando. So here's one of the things that is all right. Good, Jack. Here's one of the things that we don't have to have an outside bar to form a triangle. We know they exist. Because there are outside bars, we know they exist. Right? This just helps us get to them. Because when you see this, there's actually no outside bar. Now, okay, now, here's an important part of understanding the scenarios. This is very important. Since we know outside bars exist and we know triangles exist, all we have to do is follow the scenarios, all right? So, this here was a 2, right? And this went 2 down, right? But came back up. So when you have a red bar 2 countered by a 2 that took out one side but then gets taken out the other side, this is your triangle right in here. There's the guts of the triangle. Lower lows, boom, 2-2 reversal. We're going to higher highs, taking that out, right? So at this point, what we know to be true about Twitter is we just started a new month, okay? And we are 2 to the upside, right? So long as it's above 26.65, that's a 2. We're running out of week, but we went 2-2 reversal week and going into recent highs. So the hopes is you don't re-enter this triangle. You just go, right? Daily, tight triangle where you're going to get murdered. You get murdered in here. Okay, it's breaking out. Twitter looks great. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Ready? Now, 2 reversal. I'm sorry, that was a 2 reversal. Went to lower low, 2 reversal right there. Boom, and we were on that, I believe, because we knew that all these guys, all these pivots are just getting munched. Here, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. All right, you're just going into recent highs, and we don't have any additional actionable signals would be the issue, but so far so good. We just want to make sure that we get out of this try. And since that all things don't have to be triangles, I still have a job. Rob, draw the triangle. But so far so good. But that's really important to understand that now we can look at the scenarios to tell us where the triangles are, right? They will, right? Yeah. And be like, where are these guys wrong? Or where's everybody going to get trapped and all that kind of stuff? The 2, 2, 2 reversal. And then once you have that 2, 2 reversal, you go to the original 2. And that's your triangle, and that's where you're going after. Because what you'll see, too, is like, at this point, and the reason this works, remember an outside bar is the triangle? This just ran out of time, right? But at this point, it was a potential 3 because it came back into here, right? That was a potential 3. So it just ran out of time. So there are time frames that we can't see. And by that, what I mean is there are multiple week patterns or things. We could drive ourselves nuts doing that. So basically what this thing did, what Twitter did on this bar, if you use the 2 weeks, it went 3 on it, right? Pretty cool. Yeah, you're an exhaustion risk. You're in recent highs. Yes, you definitely are. So we'll have to see coming into the new week and stuff like that if it continues. But we want to stay outside of this stuff, right? And so we can gauge that by the monthly. Here, I want to stay outside of 26.65. All right. We all love the strategy. And so Houston, yeah, continuity, yes. And so And so you're outside the chart. Do you monitor for continuity? Yes, yes. And so one of the things we'll do, if you go to the videos, the course that is important is that always monitoring continuity by time, right? Not just by whether we have it or not. And what that means is that come the middle of the day, we always want to be looking at stuff that has had a nice move that's not inside, stuff like that. And going forward, we always want to look around Wednesday if something's still inside on the week. So as much as we had hopes and dreams of Tesla ripping, it petered out because it's still inside week, right? And so like last month, when we have Amazon doing this, were we Amazon people? We were. All month. Because once it starts going this green, like today, Facebook, like as much as our boys scalped some short side, this thing was not going red on the day. No way. There's no way, right? And so even though it's had a big enough range to scalp on stuff like that, that's the same thing as we want to look at the weeklies on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, stuff like that, to see these big green and red bars. Those are the guys that are on the move. So on the monthlies, we want to look at that in the second week, third week. We want to see these guys that are on the move. If you're an inside month by then, you get killed in there. Scenario one. So that's how we can also use time frame continuity. Not just the color of it or do we have it. How deep are we into continuity that's not going to change? Because when you have like the long monthlies and the weeklies and the dailies, the 60s profit taking, they're not really selling this thing. There's no real sellers in there. And that's why the flip is so important. Like I started off tonight, the flip is important, especially when that 60-minute is countering the longer term time frames, right? Because we know there's buyers around, right? And so if they're just profit taking and it flips back to the green or the red, that's instantaneously when we want to know about that. And so just like that sexy fiver, not only can we look at the 60, 30s, 15s, but we can look at the 5-minute right on that flip, right? Because not only is it about to potentially kick back into full time frame continuity, we can cause it. We can cause it by taking the offer right at the bottom of the hour. And be like, as far as we know, I've got a 5-minute actionable signal that if I take the offer right here, it goes full time frame continuity right now, like that. I caused that, right? And then we'll see what happens. But as you can see, there's some when you watch the flip constantly. Yeah, when you watch the flip constantly, because outside of us, nobody really talks about it. We do because we know it's important. They've got to tell the computers to stay on or stay off, right? And if they don't, things turn right around on you. Like I said, if you watch that Labu, and it will be precisely to that minute. At Labu. It's like, oh, it's inside 60 up. Yay. Real buyers? No. Boo. Right? Right there. Open on the highs of the hour, and that was it. And that's where people shake their heads, and they go like, why would it do it? Why would it do that? It looked so good, and it was going up. I'm like, they took a shot at it. They stopped them out, and them out. They didn't keep them on to come after these guys, though. We took them out. Okay. Boo. Which is another reason why during the day, like if you're a little lost on where we want to go, regroup about 15 minutes after the hour and come in and start talking about the flip. Because that's the new 60 setups. That's stuff we want to know about. Because that's going to reconfirm or negate what we already know about the month and the week and the day. Especially when you have heavy trending stuff. Is it still on? Still good. Boom, 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 boom. Every new 60, it's still going. Right? When you see those heavy trenders, that's what tells us they're still here. They're still buying or they're still selling. Just like any time, it's more important than the other ones, but we'll still, like, that's why, 15 minutes before and after the hour, top of the hour, all that stuff matters because those 15s are going to reconfirm as well. It's a matter of how much, is it profit taking, how severe does it get. But when you see extreme volatility, that shorter term stuff is going to matter, right? Because in extreme volatility, time frame continuity goes down in time frame because you're going to see as much movement in an hour as you normally would see in a month, right? So that's why we're down. You can be 5-3-1, and your 5 would be your 60, or your 5 would be your monthly when things are really moving, right? Not everybody wants to trade that kind of style, but that's how it is. And you've seen some of the earning stuff, and you've seen some of the opening gappers like that, right? And I don't expect everybody to jump on that kind of stuff because you don't have to. You can see the power of these inside 60s when you just kick back. Know what I'm saying? Toga, how you doing? Can you talk about how we should prepare a daily watch list, especially for actual student? Yes. Yes, and I was hoping Brian was going to be here because he was asking about that today. So I put my email if you weren't here before, so you can introduce yourself. So I got a little background on you that always helps me to kind of help customize it. But if you just jump in during the day and you try and just go off of what I'm saying, you're going to drive yourself nuts. So ideally, what you want to be able to do is follow something you can handle, right? Follow something you can handle. And by that, I mean not only your account size, but mentally, right? Mentally, because there's going to be so much coming at you. There's so much information because it works on everything. And so, as I was saying before, I always suggest SVXY, VXX, and the VIX products. You always want to know about that, right? Then you can also choose to watch just the gaps for a while. And you don't have to be fast on this stuff. I've made a lot of the Facebook videos about this. If the gaps don't produce every day, that's fine. When they do, they really do. And what you can do is you can take that gap list and you can watch the 60, 30, 15s, right? You don't have to worry about the 5s or anything like that. Don't worry about it. Just watch those longer term time frames. Then watch the weekend video, right? Because some people aren't always, when they come to me, they're used to trading futures. They don't know what stocks are in what sectors, which is important to work, right? But every weekend I go through the sector, so you'll know who's in what sector. And then having some idea of if I'm calling to a certain sector where we want to be, right? And I will reference that, right? Then on the nightly video, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to watch the nightly video and probably again in the morning and definitely right after the close. What did we talk about the night before and what happened? It's very important that you do that, right? Because then what you're going to do is you're going to see what we talked about and what happened. Not everything's going to work. Not everything's going to give it to you. But when you go through all the time frames, you'll see the ones that did work and why they worked and when they worked and how you could have gotten in on that, right? And then watch the new one. Also, like I said, when I get to know you, how much you can watch, you certainly want to be able to identify things that are going to move a bit enough for us, right? And say, all right, it's a little boring, it's not going to move, it's still inside weak, stuff like that. Make sense? And always check with me. Remember, the way this works is that we all think the same way. That's the beautiful thing about it, right? Good. We all think the same way. We all. This is the strategy. We don't have to, not like other chat rooms. Like, is this a thing or that or this? No, caught and dry. This is a 3-2. This is a this. This is a this. This is a go time here, right? That's the beauty of this, is that once you're trained to be one of us, I'm the world's greatest assistant, right? Because all I got to say something and you know. If somebody types a symbol in, you don't. And when you pull it up, you'll know exactly why they typed it in, right? The nightly video goes out within an hour after the close, and the weekend video I attempt to get out on Fridays. I don't always do, but definitely on Saturday. And if it's not going to come out on Saturday, I'll tell you. Yes, SVXY. Understand how the VIX products work, for sure. And then, like I said, there will be themes as the month unfurls. So we're just starting a new month. So in this weekend video, I will get to not only the potential themes, all right, but we also the macro stuff that's in force, right? Because the macro stuff can help you get it down too. Because just like I said, when we're going to time frame continuity, once you have those inside years and inside quarters and Rev Strat quarters and years, they're good all year. So last year we had Netflix inside year and up all year, right? That was go to all year. And then we come in, we come into January. It was Rev Strat all month going after this thing, right? So we had Netflix and Amazon full throttle with the inside month and upper, and that's going to happen on the quarters and the years. We're just starting the new year, so that stuff's going to kick in, right? And it will kick in on months and stuff, right? Sexy would go down with more volatility, but anytime that volatility mellows out, here she comes. Hewlett Packard. So what do we know about Hewlett Packard? Last month, Hewlett Packard went inside month and up, right? So that was good last month, right? Now, if we go way back in the Wayback Machine, Hewlett Packard, trying to go back to the 2000 highs. Wayback Machine here, that's 2473, you're almost there, right? After triangle, 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 they out, and all the way back up. So on the giant scheme of things, giant sideways triangles and stuff trying to take out the all-time highs. Month and up has exhausted. So what it's also doing, some people call them channels. I do not, because that would be on the assumption that there's a buy order that's riding up a conveyor belt here and a sell order that's riding a conveyor belt here. That's not what's happening, right? It's a series of tighter triangles, and so what you'll see is here, outside bar, lower low, higher low, triangle them out, slight higher high, slight lower low, triangle them out, outside bar, triangle them out. And so you're at the upper part of that, and you open up this new month, it's an outside week. Now you're 3 to the downside, and you've got this outside bar here, like so. So it's challenging the upper part of this stuff up in here, right? Now it's outside. So next week we want to definitely know where that is in regards to that. So here's your upper level triangle. Take them out. All right, 2 on the gap comes back in. 2, there was your triangle of these guys, right? Take them out. Bam. Right now, you've triangled these guys out. Gone. And you're still a 2. So the question is, you go 2 back up and come back in the try, or 2 to expand the try on that outside week. Here's your bigger try, trying to land on support of the old try. This is the outside bar down in here. Triangle the out, triangle the out, triangle the out, triangle the out. Bore them to death. Get. And that's all I have to say about the war in Vietnam. Where you've been stopped out? Sure. So SVXY, even though it chopped them up in here, Rev Strat to the upside here, the reason we would want to stay in this thing and just let it go is because the SPY 60s are in force. The 60s were still in force on the broader averages. That keeps you in the trade and says just let it go for the whole hour, right? Unless there's some problem, which there was not, right? Because that signal's kicking in here, here, and here. You want to ride that. You want to ride that thing the whole hour, right? Like I said, the machines didn't turn off. She went right towards the highs and even went a little higher after that off the 30. Here, so here when it goes 30 on the new here, then we'll talk. Right now, right? Then we'll talk. If you take that down, didn't do it. Went 30 up, then outski on the 15er. So you can go here, no lower lows on the 15, goes 30, boom, buy more. 15er on the flip, reverse and get short for true ninja. But at least here, that's your first sign of trouble, and that's the first lower low. But because we had that simultaneous break going our way, let it rock. We're looking to buy more. And that's what's going to get you in on that Rev Strat 5er as opposed to something that we'd be shaky on, like if we were short this thing. Here, you didn't have to worry about the Rev Strat 5er. Everything's still in force. When it went 5 and down here, didn't have to worry about that, but you can certainly buy more when it comes back through. Make sense? That's one of the things why I say I put the pieces parts for you by having all these screens up and being like, this is a simultaneous break. This is a for reals player. Yeah, and that's the and that's really what we want to know is it for reals? I'm like, we got 3 of these things that broke immediately on the 60. Right? They broke immediately. It's the first day of the month. Right? If they're putting in some new money to work, it's right now. I'll tell you that right now. And that's why we were joking around when that happened. I was like, because we had them like, was sitting there chopping around doing nothing, going inside. It's the first day of the month. I'm like, for those of you who weren't live with us, when this happened, I was like, hey boss, what time should we turn the machines on? 11:30. 11:30, got it. Bam. There's our first buys of the month right there. All right? Nice and quiet, get in there. A chance to buy them slightly lower on the month. Don't get that very often. Yeah. And even if you got stopped out a little early, that's fine. Because what you're going to see is this happens so often, over and over and over again, right? Because this is how price action works, that over time you will develop more of a, I don't want to say feel, I would say a further understanding of what's going on to where you're just, because most traders are scared even when they're winning. I got to schnitzel some. You know, over time, when you trade this way, your confidence goes through the roof. Screw these guys. We know exactly what's going on. All right? Because once you know what we know, you'll watch CNBC and laugh all day. These are the guys who are trading against us. They have no chance. They have no chance. Right, you can also take parts off and say protect it and then re-enter too. Right? You can trim a bit of it, but if you get another buy signal, pop right back in there. Because what these things are designed to do is put us in winning positions, right? Which means we're playing with their money all the time, right? Always playing with their money. And that's why we have tight stops. I don't want to lose any money. I'm not here to lose, right? But if I'm playing with their money, casino's open, man. Let's go nuts. Double down, everything. Yeah, it's their money. Who cares? But I do want to make very clear, though, for new people, though, it is important to have a structure to what you're watching and stick to it, right? Don't get sidetracked. If I get excited about something and we're all jumping into something else, don't get sidetracked. Stay with the plan. If you have your battle plan for the day, do that. I can't stress that enough because you want to be consistent on something because the world is your oyster once you are. Right? Once you're continually successful on just trading the gaps or picking certain things out of the videos or trading the VIX products, what you're going to see here, you can branch out forever. You can branch out forever. The franchising will never end, right? Until you finally just can't take it anymore. I can't watch them all, right? But once you streamline and focus on one thing or just a few things that you're consistent on, then you can be like, I got my stops in. That's good. I'm moving on to this flip because of this, right? Because it only gets bigger. Because that's the great thing about it. It's all the same stuff. It's all the same stuff, right? It's just different things, different types of liquidity and different levels of volatility, but it's all the same. So what that's going to do is not only help you be consistent, but it's going to help you continually see this stuff, right? Wire your brain to only see the actual signals, time frame, continuity, and scenarios, because then you'll see it plain as day in anything else, and you won't be able to talk to anybody else, but because they'll seem very moronish, and you'll be like, no, dude, that's a 2-2. I'm going with it. SLCA, sure. So SLCA, I believe, was outside day yesterday. All right. Potential rev strat month there. Right. If things go awry, right. Still a 2-month, but potential rev strat at the 1-2. So if it takes that out, we got some issues because we got all these guys to go after. Right. So right now, it's 1-2 and opens as a 1 for the week. Once again, you're going to see the very gradual triangles moving up. Some people call them channels. I will not. All right. Triangle the out, triangle the out, triangle the out, triangle the out, triangle the out. Now, what's here? All right. So in the week, that was an outside week to the downside. Right? It's an outside week. That's a 3-2 to the downside. If they're going to hit it, that's what it's going to look like. All right. So far, it hasn't made any significant triangle lows. The good part about this is if you can come in next week and go 2 here, that's your 3-2-2 reversal back up. That's what you'd be looking for here. Right? Triangle layout, lower level try, outside bar, 3-2, 2, 2, 2. 3, and now inside 1, right? And so another good thing is you don't have to jump the gun on anything. Once they start going and they go 2 the other way, or this would be tomorrow, it'd be inside day and up to finish off the week. So the reason that would be good, remember, it's always important to look down the road. If something works, is this going to create anything new? Or do I have to jump ship? So Hayes and some of the boys like to fade the face. We had the Facebook on the upside and the downside today, which is always nice, but had that opening 15er, and that was real nice. And Hayes and the gang, who likes to fade a little bit, got some of those inside 30 downers. But here's what's important. They got the 30 downers. Here's what's important is they know if you're going to fade this thing, time exhaustion, you really got to know about that because you're fighting these guys, right? How far is it really going to go? Is it in order to create a bearish scenario on the longer term would be a tall order in Facebook. There's no way that's going to happen, right? So something like SLCA, what this would create if this goes inside day tomorrow, potentially, let's say you have a nice inside day that comes up into here, something like that, the oil start running. What that creates potentially, if you can get up towards 35, that creates the hammer counters outside bar, which we've been seeing explode, right? That's what that does, right? So looking down the road, if that worked, that's what that could create, which would give you the chance to add to it. And how? As we saw in Facebook on the weekly here, right? Boom, 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 3, 2, hammer and up, and Corvo, right? Bam, bam, outside hammer. And so that's, first of all, you want to be able to see all the actual signals and time frame continuity and scenarios. And then you want to be able to look into the future. If this works, what will it create? Right? That's what we want because we want to add to things that are going our way. But in something like Facebook, you know you got to jump ship. If you're going to trade that style, you know you got to jump ship at any sign of problems because you're fading things that have no possible bearish setup. All right, Houston, good. Right on, man. Okay, so take a look at PE. So PE, the energy, gap and puker, right? So understanding that this thing was here. All right, you got it. So here, weekly, rev strat to the downside because it goes back in here, right? Peak, but it was gapper, so just we were aware of that. This also could have been a sideways one here if it took that out to the upside. This is also an outside bar. 3, 1, 2 puker, Chicago style. And so being able to know, are you coming back through previous ranges, right? Like when we talk about things being an exhaustion risk, we want to go after anybody who thinks they're going to try and buy it off of something. Peak. So for the month, outside 3 month, that can't change. Right? It's going to be 3. Now it's 1. Go to the daily, right? Daily, 2, 2. Now this is still a 2 to the upside, but because it's back in the range, it'd be a 2-2 continuation taking this out in Momo Shooter to use this as the smaller triangle. Take them out, take them out. All right? Could you have kept it overnight? You sure could. In this environment, when companies are in trouble and things are bad, people want nothing to do with it. This market's screaming to the upside, and people, when that happens, they're really even more scared of things getting killed and going down. So yeah, you could hold that full throttle downside. You just have to be aware of you're taking out some of these guys' lows. But for the most part, I mean, you can see there's so much opportunity during the day. An FTI. Yes, you can swing the strat. You just have to know what you're up against. Ask Jim. He swings a lot of stuff, and it's another important thing to know is who in the VTF does what. Because when they post, you're going to want to know about what they do. The people have been with me for a long time that you hear me talking to all the time, right? Certain people do certain things, right? And you want to be aware of those people, right? Foreman, what's up, man? Foreman will help you trade the movers if you want to trade the movers. Foreman, I'm not allowed to leave. So FTI, checking the future. FTI opens as inside, is green on the month. So that's scenario 1, green. Buying power is, how much buying power? It's like, and that's why I want to know who everybody is, and I go through that and like introduce yourself if you're going to be, swinging. What do you got? It's not just because you're hoping for a bigger move, right? So weekly inside doesn't take it out, right? So that's side was 1. That's right. Foreman is been with me a long time, and as an example of the power of what we do, and watching the things that really move during the day, as opposed to holding overnight and hoping that it's going to go your way. Thanks, Mooney. So here, what it does, it also down here, 07, takes it out. So here was your rev strat. 2-bar oneer takes the oneer out, but now you're back into the 2-1er. Goes 1, 2, 2. So next week would be the 1, 2, 2, 2 continuation of the bigger move, because that would put it in full time frame counter to the upside. Minding the 2s. Like that box we go number 2 in, right, Foreman? Mind your 2s. Make sense? If you go to the daily, the choppy shoppy, the lower high try. This is lower than that. That was a problem. Inside day, puke, triangle day out. 1, 2, 2, 2 up, 2 up. Good. Yeah, still going. Strat cruising after hours. Riding off into the sunset until my light speed goes blank. Oh, our poor spouses. What are you doing? Having a drink and laughing? Market's close. Kinda. Still going. And for those of you who are married and new to us, I suggest you get the spouse in on it as soon as you possibly can. Otherwise, you're going to have nothing to talk about. Just don't tell her you make any money, or as much as you make, or him. They'll want to get their grubby non-strat hands on it. Tell them you make half of what you make. And I don't have my light speed up right now. The VIX products, so stuff like that. So we can worry about that in the morning. But as you can see today, like Joe and fairly newer people, to me, when you get a hold of a good sexy move, it is awesome. It is awesome. Especially when you really get her hit. All right? Hey, Bucker, right? Especially when you really, when you really get the Tank City and then just powerhouse. All right? Right, no one will believe that what we do. Right, that's why you don't see me do a lot of chest bumping and stuff like that, because it'll sound like BS, but the moves that we catch compared to anybody else, I'd put up that against anybody in the world. It's not even close. Because we're the only ones who trade the truth. And, sometimes it takes some people a little bit longer. Yeah, ETHN saw that. All right, we'll see you bright and early, man. And if it takes some people longer, don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged about how long it takes you to get this down. Sometimes you just got to rewire your brain, and it gets overwhelming, and you're trying to organize the research and all that. I get it, right? Don't get discouraged, because once you do get it, you're set. As I like to say, it's like I can't make you a doctor overnight, but once you're a doctor, you can charge them whatever you want, right? You can charge them whatever you want, but you got to go to medical school. 1 or 2 winners in each? Oh, yeah. Definitely. The keep-a-goiners that don't come back, right? And doing battle to find them, right? We got a pretty good idea each day who it might be. But once they jump in our face, go get them. Because another problem that some people have is thinking that the move has ended. Now, I can't get in now, I'm too late. We know that's not true, especially when we have, like when I go through the gappers in the morning and I show you that there's more pivots and there's more things to be short or long against, they're going after them. Like that QNST, crushed them. Stuck it to them, but good, right? Monthly, we knew when we gapped up into here, we're going after these guys and these guys. That was great, right? Now we were in exhaustion risk for most of the day, but once we saw this, see ya. The O-Tex coming up on the monther, inside month and up, and all that kind of stuff. Because another thing that can be an issue is getting out too early when you get used to getting chopped up and you're like, I just don't want to give anything back. Don't do that. Let the market just take your winner and just rock. Because of what we know, we're being put in situations that should just keep going. Yeah, Joe, you're doing great, man. It's just and sometimes you get chopped up doing that. Like I said, the Labu today, if you would have let it go, you would have gotten chopped up on the 60. Like, I got the 60, just let it go. Unless we know to mind the flip, right? Because you did have a bunch of pivots to go after if it really wanted to go, right? Problemo, you don't got full time from counter to the upside. But when you do, uh huh, got to keep the eye on the flip, yep. And knowing when they got full throttle the upside or not. Because it's a new month, so we don't know what they're really doing yet. Because so in a month, it's Doji 1. In the week, it's down. And on the day, maybe triangle they out to the lows here, right? That's why you take the 60 for show. We want to triangle they out and keep rocking. New flipper, ow. All goes back and then some. Peak. But, Joe, I will say this. Your aptitude for the strat is right there. Like I said, a few minutes in or whatever, you already got it. It's just maximizing it is all, which is a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah. And I really do enjoy these because we really get a lot done, I think, on Thursday nights. Because obviously you hear me during the day, and a lot of times, never. Another thing for newer people, never think that I'm too busy to talk to you during the day. It might sound like I'm just. Oh, he's too busy. I'm never too busy for you. You got a question, type it in. Right? Type it in. We'll get to it. If I got to get around the horn or whatever, we'll get to it. But I don't want you ever to feel that way. It's just much easier on Thursday nights when we can slow it down, when I'm not interrupting myself with making a call. Just hard not to do. I have a hard time even breaking for lunch and watching stuff and not calling it out. I feel like I'm in prison when I'm not on the headset because there's just so much to watch. If I can eke out one more inkling for you, that's what I like to do. Okay, that's what I like to hear. Green both days. That's it. Stay green. Because we're designed not to lose, right? The worst thing that could possibly happen to you should be that you get stopped out a lot. And because I'm putting you into things that shouldn't do that, stop out, stop out, stop out, winner, right? And potentially big because of what we know about this stuff, right? So if you can stay disciplined to stop yourself out, I'm going to put you in situations that should really go. Yeah. Look at them big frogs. Yeah. We like things that have a bias towards what we like to do and are going to go in one direction. And also, for newer folks, too, is like, even if you're going to break it down to just going to the gaps and VIX products and stuff like that, still watch the videos because what I want you to do is train your mind to see this stuff, right? See it over and over and over again. This is scenario 3-2. This is scenario inside bar. This is whatever it may be. And when you watch the weekend videos, you'll see how the sectors will tend to roll into who we're going to be watching. The nightly videos, like I said, watch that. Then right after the close, you'll see what you could have done. And the more you see this stuff, the more it becomes second nature, right? And then you just go, right? When in other strategies, if you have any hesitation, I have to ask my guru if this is going to work, and I'm not sure if that MACD is crossed or whatever BS there's out there. This is different. You'll know. Without question, you'll know. And you just go, bam, hit that button. I've seen this a billion times. This has got everything that we look for. Bam, I'm in. Which is a really good feeling in this business that almost nobody has. But we do. Is this thing going to go? Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. That's not my level of expertise. What are you on? What are you on in execution? Who are you using for execution? Interactive brokers. What I would suggest that you do is ask during the day who's on interactive brokers and what they have for that. Or I would call them and say, here's what I want. How does that do it? Because we know what we want to do, right? On slower stuff, you can point and click. I have no problem with that. But if you have the hotkey that just tells us what the strat does, like, oh, I was going to change my stop. It's like, no, I'm not. I'm going to hit F3. It does what I tell it to do. What Rob said to do. It does it. And if I get stopped out and it goes back, I hit F3 again. I'm back in. Yeah. Yeah, you do. Thank you, Renee. Hot key, especially if you're going to be trading those gappers on the opening. Definitely. Well, the volatile big spreaders you want to be careful on. It's just going to make sure that, the thing is, if it's going to go, it's going to go. Yeah, don't confuse what key does what. That's a whole nother ballgame. Oops. Yeah, you want to practice that a lot. Oops. What happened? I just hit the buy the company key. I own the whole thing. And I meant to get short. Uh. Don't want to double up when you meant to sell right, all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying you have to do it this way. I'm just saying you want to think about it. Because, most importantly, because it helps you get back in. If you've got to go in there, set the stop, take it, set the stop, and you get stopped out, and then in order to get back in, you got to take it, set the stop again, you're less likely to do it. If you just go, bam, and it does it for you. You get stopped out. Oh, it's back up again. Hit it again. Oh, I got stopped again. Oh, it's back up again. Hit it. Okay, now it really goes. All you did was stop out on the tight triangle, and then finally you're in for when it really moves. Because of what we know. It should just go. Sometimes there's micro triangles you got to deal with. For the last pikers trying to take us out. Until we steamroll them. Yeah. Well, Jack, that would be on Rev Strats and 3.2s for sure, right? Now, if you have full time frame continuity, you can give it a little more room, right? If we have reason to believe that something's going to go, you can give it a little more room. And so that can be as much as the inside bar itself, the bar that breaks the inside bar on a shorter term time frame. So let's say that it opens inside it was an inside 15er, but we've got inside month and up like Amazon, and it's inside 15, and the 5 minute opens inside the 15 and takes the 15 to go 15 up full time from counting the upside, where are we in the triangles that we have triangle magnitude, you can give it more room. So I'll give it that whole 15. But one stop for the things that we know should definitely go. Rev strats, 3.2s. Those should just go. Those are guys really getting it stuck too. They shouldn't have much more fight in them. All right. You got it. You got it. Like I said, you'll give up on me before I give up on you, and I don't see anybody giving up on anybody. So we're about an hour and change into this, and like to keep it to. Sometimes we'll have a marathon session, but I think I like to keep it to a manageable, so when people watch it, they don't have to watch a 3-hour thing, and as well as that, let it incubate in your head what we talked about tonight, right? So it sinks in, right? Always bring your questions and have them ready. If you have anything during the day, or I prefer to do it at night because we can record it or ask again. I don't have problems repeating. If I had problems repeating this stuff, I wouldn't be here, right? But certainly so we can record it and more people can hear it and have it for posterity. But it seems like even some people have been with me even stepped up their game recently. Judy to be one. And you can see how powerful this is once you get it down to something that's manageable for you. And if you have problems with that, check back with me, and I'll try and put you in the right spot. So I think we'll cut it right here. I think this is another really good session. Hopefully you thought the same. I think you do. So we got earnings palooza in the morning. We got Apples. We've got Amazons. We've got Googles. And probably some more fun. So on that note, all right, everybody have a wonderful night. We'll see you bright and early. And turn the bad people's money into the good people's money. All right. See you in the morning.